Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Otie McKinley with the PR and Communications team at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Joining me today is my colleague, whom you all know, Dave Lorenz, Vice President of Travel Michigan here at the MEDC. And today, we're going to talk about the National Travel and Tourism Week and the opportunities to enjoy the beauty, the communities, and the culture of pure Michigan this spring and summer. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. Hey, I understand that you're joining us live from the Henry Ford in Dearborn. What an incredible place to do a live stream.
Oh my gosh, the Henry Ford in Greenfield Village, our #1 attraction in pure Michigan. And if you've not been here, you need to come here and find out why. Because not only is this an incredible museum, which displays, of course, artifacts like you can't believe it. Greenfield Village, of course, demonstrates, various architecture and ways people lived over the decades. But the thing about the Henry Ford in Greenfield Village, it really is a celebration of innovation here. This is a museum that really focuses in on the ways that people have innovated over time. And after what we've all been through this last year, we have to recognize that moving forward, it's going to be all about innovation, about thinking of other people, about collaboration, and finding new and better ways to get through.
Yeah. So again, I got to say I'm a little jealous that you're at the Henry Ford, but we're here to talk about the National Travel and Tourism Week. So why don't you share a little bit about what that means to Michigan and how that we weave ourselves into that ecosystem?
Yeah, happy to do it. And hey, I will tell you, Otie, that you're gonna probably hear some people talking in the background because I'm quite a distance away from where a meeting is happening. But you might hear some of the colleagues from travel and tourism. They're having a socially distanced meeting talking about this upcoming season because this season is going to be a very interesting one. We're going to finally come back to travel again, traveling safely, and we're going to do it at a time when it's going to be a little difficult to find employees, and at a time when people are still a little bit hesitant to travel. But at the same time, we have all this pent-up demand. We've been inside our houses all winter long. Some people have been inside their houses for this last year. Now they have the vaccines. They're thinking responsibly. They want to get out there and travel, and they're going to be able to. And the thing is, travel and tourism is critically important to our economy. It accounts for hundreds of thousands of jobs in a normal year. It brings in something like $27 billion in spending, which brings in billions of dollars in local and state taxes, which of course helps us fix those darn roads and pay for schools and a lot of other things we all want to be able to pay for as a society. But just as important, we're able to connect with people through travel and to find new places and not only discover those places and those people, but maybe discover something new about ourselves at the same time.
Well, and that adventure is such an important part of travel, right? To the new experiences, learning new places, new communities, new businesses around. So talk to me, during the National Travel and Tourism Week, Michiganders and travelers to Michigan can get involved too, right?
Absolutely. In fact, there's a lot of ways to get involved. First off, just by traveling, of course. But this week, working with the Travel Industry Coalition of Michigan, we have a fun thing they're doing. If you go to michigan.org, look for the Scavenger Hunt, information on the Scavenger Hunt, because you can quite literally, in this virtual world, you can get out there and then you can discover new places around the state. You can find prizes, and then you can also take pictures of your journeys as you travel around Michigan, share those pictures, hashtag the power of travel, or just hashtag power of travel, and then you are in a drawing to win even more prizes. So it's another great fun way that we're hoping to encourage people to get out there, travel again in pure Michigan.
Well, what a fun way to do that and get some engagement out there. Arguably, spring and summer are two of the most popular seasons to travel in Michigan. And As people are getting out there and participating with the scavenger hunt, are there any particular destinations or activities around the state that people should be really paying attention to?
Well, I always say, especially if you're hesitant about traveling right now, you might want to consider being a tourist when you're on town first. Maybe explore a little bit, kind of get a little bit farther away from the home. Maybe check out some places that you haven't been to for a while, because, people kind of forget. Just because you live there doesn't mean that you know the place. If you don't get out there maybe to show your friends and family, the community, you kind of lose track about the cool things that you can find in your own place. So if you do that, you're going to find out how easy it is to travel safely, wearing your masks at all the appropriate places, distancing, all the things we know that we need to do right now. And then through that experience, I think then you're going to be able to start to think about places maybe you haven't been to before or haven't been to for a long time. We try to make that easy for you by providing information on Michigan.org. Tim Allen is always saying your trip begins at Michigan.org, and what we mean by that is that's the place where you can do your research, investigations. You can even do bookings if you feel like you're ready to do that. And I will tell you, Otie, doesn't matter where you go in the state, you're going to find something really special, because there's something for everybody. And I'll use the old line, except for saltwater and sharks, because we really are so diverse. The thing is, you can find saltwater and sharks at Great Lakes crossings, but that's another story. So, the thing is, we really are such a diverse state. I know you and I love winter. We're winter lovers. I think we are the two winter lovers in Michigan. So, for everybody else, this is the time to get out there.
Well, really I don't know. We spent a lot of time skiing this winter, and I think that there are more than just two winter enthusiasts out here.
We saw a lot of activity out there, and people were doing it responsibly and safely. The ski resorts did very well, and so we can do that again as we get into the warm weather season.
Yeah, and Dave, I want to go back a minute. You talked about, as we are entering into the spring and summer travel season here in Michigan, there may be some hesitancy for people to get out and travel, regardless of the distance. Now, I know you spend the bulk of your time traveling around the state, promoting tourism, promoting destinations. What are some things that either businesses or people can do to kind of get a sense of security, a sense of safety? Is there something out there that might be a resource?
Yeah, there are so many resources from the travel industry right now. And that first one is the easy one. Michigan.org is I guess you can look at it as the portal for all information for travel and tourism in the state. Whether you're traveling for leisure or business, you can find a lot of information there. Once you do that, really do some investigation. Look at the information that the destinations are providing at the individual websites around the state. Many of them will say right out front, listen, we're a Pure Michigan Pledge community. We are pledging to keep you as safe as possible, and we're expecting from you to do the same thing. So you need to know that, because if you're just not ready to do what's necessary right now, if you're not ready to wear the mask and all that stuff, what I've been trying to explain to people is, listen, you are still welcome to Pure Michigan next year. It really is that simple, because if we don't act together right now, if we don't think about other people like we've never done before, we're going to ruin it for everybody. We're going to extend this thing farther than it has to go, and people are going to get sick, people are going to die that don't have to right now. So if we do that first, look for the information, learn about the communities that best suit our needs and our expectations, follow those safety protocols that are expected of you, and just know that those communities are going to do their best as well to keep you as safe as possible. I think that's the best way to do it. And one thing, make your bookings in advance. Typically, my wife is an adventurer. She would be happy just to go out there and book along as we go. I'm kind of a planner. I like to do everything in advance. So over the years, we've kind of done a little bit of both. Well, this year, I get my way. We get to, which never happens. So we get to actually plan in advance, book in advance, book our attractions, various things we want to do whenever you can do it. A lot of museums are doing timed entry, other attractions like this. So look for all those things. And as you do your research, kind of strange to say this, don't overly research, learn a little bit about it for safety, learn all that, but learn a little bit about the place. And then when you go there, really explore, get into it. And then I think you're going to really enjoy it, having known just a little bit about the place before you go.
Yeah, and I think that's an important piece. You know, the pre-planning for your event. One, depending on where you're going, there are protocols in place that it would be a benefit for you to know in advance to make sure that you're following all those necessary protocols. And I want to just jump back again real quickly. You mentioned the Pure Michigan Pledge. Can you tell me a little more about what that is and why that's so important for our travel season this spring and summer?
Yeah, and I know people are getting tired of hearing this, especially the people who have done everything they could to keep everybody safe. For those people who are hesitant to kind of adopt these things, just realize this: we're not a political organization. You know, try not to think of this in a political way. We are trying to think about other people, and I know you want to think of them as well. You may feel like, hey, nobody can tell me what to do. Well, I understand that, but you know, think about other people. And the Pure Michigan Pledge is really about doing just that. It's about saying, listen, I'm going to give up a little bit of my freedoms that I'd normally have. I'm going to do something I don't want to do. I'm going to wear that mask more often than I really wanted to do. I'm going to make sure my hands are clean. I'm distancing as much as possible. And I tell you, one thing that's going to come out of this is that final basic Pure Michigan Pledge issue, and that's staying home if you're sick. Before this pandemic, Otie, you know me, I would have just kept on working every day. I get the common cold, I get whatever. I would go to work. I would just do it because, man, I'd power through. And I'd get other people sick. And you know what? I just never thought of it that way before. Now, I think going forward, we're going to think about this in a different way. And I know I will. And I am making a pledge. If I'm sick, I'm staying home. And I hope you do as well.
Yeah. So, and then one other question. You know, Michigan is known for a plethora of tourism destinations that are known in the Midwest, the country, and even globally. This year, in the environment that we are currently in, what about some of the hidden gems across the state, some of the lesser traveled corners that people might want to look at to try something different and try something where you're not going to some of those more populated areas?
I have to tell you, I started out the National Travel and Tourism Week on Sunday. I went to Holland for Tulip Time, and it was really great to see everybody, you know, doing their part, you know, being careful and still enjoying the tulips in the town. It looked beautiful. You know, it's different because you don't get to do what you wanted, you used to doing, like parades and whatever. Next year, we'll get to that. But as I was enjoying this, I was thinking, you know, everybody knows, you know, the Lake Shore, you know, Holland, Grand Haven, Muskegon, you know, Saugatuck, South Haven, New Buffalo, St. Joe, you know, all those, Silver Lake, Traverse City, it goes on and on. But that's the thing. We've probably been to those places at least a couple of times in the last year or two, probably the last two. And maybe we haven't been to some other places for a while, kind of interior. So it depends on what you're into. To depend on, you know, to decide really what you want to do. So for instance, I like Native American culture. So I could really highly recommend when they are open, and I don't know if they're open yet, but the wonderful museum, the Zeebwing Museum in Mount Pleasant, middle of the state. If you're into gaming, great casino there. Of course, they're all over the state as well. You know, and look for something that you're kind of into, like in my case, Native American. If you're into trails and hiking, you're going to find countless places, and not necessarily just those places that are very, very commonly visited, like along the lake shore, because we're the trail state. If you're into maybe biking, mountain biking, or horseback riding, or ORV, or ATV, or whatever it is, we have a lot of those places out there too that are kind of a lot of times in lesser known areas in the center of the lower peninsula, and then upper into the UP as well, kind of the center of the UP. I know a lot of people are going to be looking for places to distance, and these are some of the places that you should go to because they simply aren't as many people there. The Thumb and what we call the Sunrise Side, that kind of Mackinac City down the east coast of the lower peninsula. That's a spectacularly beautiful place. I just love those places. You can see petroglyphs in a certain place. You can see sinkholes as big as you could ever imagine. In fact, you might be in a sinkhole when you're over there and not even know it, that have been there for eons. There are so many cool things you can just explore and enjoy. Go to a place like Rockport State Park up by Alpena. It's a state park that's in a former like gravel pit. And if you can't find a fossil within 1 second of you being there, you don't have your eyes open, because they are everywhere, and you can carry out a small amount with you. And it's fascinating. It becomes like a Petoskey stone hunt, where you just, you're looking for them. You've seen them everywhere. Which ones you want to save, whatever. So that's the thing. It depends on what you're into. You're going to find something everywhere. And a lot of times these small towns, I kind of like along what's called the Sauk Trail, which goes between Detroit and kind of to Chicago. It's an ancient trail. It was used by Native Americans, became a stagecoach route, then was kind of like the major road until I-94 came through. And that's got a bunch of little towns that are like, became very successful in the 1800s. So you can find these cute little towns with these brick-fronted storefronts with great restaurants and unique little shops. I love that stuff. And some of the special events and festivals will be coming back this year as well. So look for that as you travel Michigan.
That's right. Well, you mentioned the Sunrise side. Growing up in Eau Gray, I'm a little biased to the northeast corner of Michigan, which is, as I mentioned, one of those places that doesn't necessarily have the crowds that some of the more populated tourist destinations have. But nonetheless, hidden gems across the state, from the western UP to southeastern Michigan. Dave, I know you're at the Henry Ford and you've got some things this afternoon. I just wanted to say thank you so very much for your time today. I also want to thank everyone who tuned in. And to learn more about the National Travel and Tourism Week and the Pure Michigan Pledge, your trip begins at michigan.org. Thanks, folks. I hope you have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.